Hello, hello. So let's see what's going on over here. It says here, he's an egomaniac. My husband said he'll flush his 1.5 million IRA down the toilet rather than split it with me in our divorce. What can I do? How does that make him an egomaniac? You are if trying to rob somebody of their life savings. And he's considered an egomaniac because he doesn't want to let you have it, because he's being vindictive, because he feels like he's being cheated. I know legally you're entitled to that money, but those laws were created back at a time when women weren't considered legally equal to a man. Nowadays, women and men are considered equal. So, in an equal partnership, people should be able to leave with what they came in with. The things that they produced and the things that they created, the labor that they've done and have been rewarded for should belong to them alone. If you feel like you've done a lot of housework and he should be reimbursing you for that, that is fine. That is fine. We can have a legal agreement that allows you to be reimbursed for the whatever housework you did. But in those cases, you would get way less than you actually do in a divorce nowadays. It will never be 50% of what the other person, you know what I mean? Because it's going to be disproportionate either way. In an equal partnership, you wouldn't even have to worry about that. You would have your own money. You wouldn't try to get his because you have yours and it would already be equal. If 50-50 was literally what you both brought into the relationship, the split would just be taking your own shit and go. The reason you're getting 50% of his money is because you didn't produce or bring in 50%. You're not taking your stuff and going. You're taking his stuff and going. So he's not an egomaniac for being upset about that. That's just reasonable. Derek Quinton, who the hell is Quinton? I'm going through a divorce, which I would not describe as amicable. My husband said he will fight me for every step of the way to not give me one red cent of his retirement. Why are you trying to take his retirement? Hmm? Why? And if you're trying to take his retirement, why would you think it would be amicable? If you're trying to leave the man, just take from whatever he's earned, take from get whatever you can get, but leave his retirement alone. At least that. You can at least come to that agreement that you don't trust his you don't take his retirement. You know what I mean? Because he put in a lot into that. Way before he met you, he put into that. Can at least have him leave him with that. You're trying to take his own survival away from him at this point. It's just those are his words. I knew divorce is stressful, but I was never prepared for this kind of acrimony, although it should not have surprised me. Why would it surprise you? Why are you trying to take his retirement and you're acting like it's normal? What is wrong with you? He said he spent his life adding to this account. Yes, that's what retirement means. And said he would rather withdraw the money and flush it down the toilet than give me any. Yes, that's essentially what's happening right here. It's like he's on a bridge. No, we can do the Titanic analogy, right? You're both drifting on some driftwood, right? But both of you can't survive on it. But he was there first, right? And then he added you to it, and then later on realized that you both have to go your separate ways, and then you wanted to drag him down with you. You wanted to take part of it that's going to leave him stranded and struggling to survive on his own. In that situation where you're going for a man's life, he's cornered. It makes sense that he would want to be like, if I'm going to go down, you're going down with me. You're not going to take half of my shit and go on to someone else's raft and survive while I stay out here paddling and trying to struggle to stay afloat. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, that makes sense to me. He's going to be like, I'm going to drag you with me. You're trying to drown me. I'm dragging you with me. Like, this just perfectly natural human behavior that you should be able to predict as a well-adjusted human being. His IRA is worth 1.5 million and we have been married for 20 years. I took time off to raise our children. I have always contributed to our mortgage and other expenses. Okay. Then you get part of the mortgage, you get part of the house and the other expenses. You get all of that. Leave his retirement alone. Like, the fuck? He's an egomaniac and never admits to being wrong and never does what he says he's going to do. Ma'am, if it is an argument between both of you and you think you're right and he think he's right, you saying he never admits to being wrong means you think you're always right, which would make you the egomaniac. In order for you to classify him as wrong in those situations where he's not admitting it, you would have to believe that you are right. Anyways, and never does what he says he's going to do. Ma'am, if someone doesn't want to do something and you ask them to do it, and they eventually say they're going to do it, it's not because they all of a sudden wanted to do it. It's because they want you to stop asking them. So if he's doing something, if he's not doing something that he says he's going to do, it's because he never wanted to do it in the first place. And you didn't convince him. He just wanted to stop hearing you talking. That is the only way that that happens. If someone wants to do something and they say they're going to do it, then they will do it. It's like these people are just like new to human behavior and they're like, oh, all of a sudden, they're not doing this. They're not doing, like, do you not know how people work? Do you not know how you work? If he asked you to do something constantly and you didn't do it, if you wanted to have some sort of weird sex thing, or he wanted to have sex at a certain time you don't want to do, and he wants to do all these things. He wants you to freaking watch the kids on a certain day. You wanted to go out with your friends or whatever, and you didn't do it. He would have the same argument about you. He would be able to say that she says she's going to do something and she doesn't do it. If he says he'll be home at 5 p.m. and I have dinner ready, he walks in the door at 9 p.m. Ma'am, if you ask him what time he's going to be home and he says a certain time and then something comes up and he shows up late, that's fine. All right. But if something comes up and he shows up late 3 or 4 times and you never let that shit go, and every time you keep bringing up that he was late, that is not something wrong with him. That is something wrong with you. There's no way you're going to lead me to believe that this man never shows up to dinner on time and you just keep making dinner. The only reason you would keep making dinner at the time that he says he's going to come home is because most of the time he comes home. And the times that he doesn't, you never let it the fuck go. That is something wrong with you. Because if someone apologizes for something, they're just late. I'm sorry. Something comes up. He probably gives you an excuse. Something comes up, talking this or whatever. I forgot, whatever. And then you never let that shit go. That is not a grievance you have against them. Should be a grievance you have against yourself and a grievance he should have against you. Because every mistake, he can't just apologize and move forward because you keep remembering it and refusing to ever acknowledge that he was going to be home in time for dinner. If he says he'll take our son to baseball game, I know he will need to make sure. I know I will need to make sure I am on standby. Ma'am, it's the same issue. There's no way he's always unable to take your son to the baseball game. It's more likely that he didn't make it one time, or he's like, oh, at the last minute, I can't really do it this time, or he forgot. And you never let it go. Do you know how I know that? Because you say, I know I will need to make sure I'm on standby, which means there's time that he forgot. There's a time that he didn't do it. And because of it, you keep giving him a hard time about it. You keep saying, oh, you sure you're going to be able to make it this time? Every single goddamn time. If you have such a big problem with it, just don't ask him. Just don't ask him to do it. That is how you solve a problem. But you're not interested in solving problems. You're interested in being right because of your ego, you egomaniac. If I acquiesce to him on vacation and we end up taking a wrong turn, he would blame Google Maps or blame me for distracting him. How many times do you go on fucking vacation and he went to the wrong spot? How many times? 3, 4 in your entire life, in your entire 20 years of marriage? It's happened 4 times and you never let it the fuck go. But here's the problem. He can be very loud and scary at times. At times. Sometimes people are loud. Sometimes you get scared because maybe you're a goddamn coward, because loud noises startle you like a wild animal. Why is that his entire character? If it's if it happens at times, which means it's infrequent, why is that a judgment on his character? Why is it not a judgment on the situation that got him upset? Something is wrong with you, lady. He won't let it go. He won't let it go, you bitch. And he has promised to put me through hell. I don't underestimate him. Um, this right here, this right here is why, even at my most senile, I would never get married. It's a situation where the person who complains the most about the other person is somehow the victim. And who complains most? Who would other people listen to when they complain? Because if a man is complaining about his wife all the time, I guarantee you people don't look at that man favorably. Anyways, until next time.